Zelda has always been great about delivering simple, impactful themes, repeating and updating them for new titles to provide their audience with something that's new, but also nostalgic. But these themes also play another role, identifying and broadening the scope of a certain character, place, or idea. These leitmotifs help us recognize what's what, who's who, and what's changed. Good job, Nintendo.
What sorts of personality traits, background stories, fears, hopes, routines, or otherwise are available to be found within these Audible Information Databanks?
Real quick, this is the second part to my last entry, discussing musical world building of the same game. These are all personal speculations, concluded primarily from musical context clues. Musical storytelling is an avenue capable of much more depth than I think is currently being discussed, so I thought,
why not join the conversation? All right, let's go over some music, shall we?
Zant's theme reflects the sound of the Twilight Realm, dissonant and dark in an era of 20th century experimentalism, with one key difference: an unwavering pulse. His tune hovers around and refuses to leave a single note. Obsessive. Minus all the fanfares, his color is that of a piano and soft drums. I want to make a note on the piano here, because it's also a common color for Midna. But that's just it. What's up with the piano? Does it have something to say about Zant, Midna, the Twilight in general, or something else entirely? I choose to leave that one for you to decide. In the beginning of each measure, we can pick out a subtle harmony.
It's tapered out through the drums and constantly hiding behind our main focus.
This note seems representative of something like a mantra, something he's been repeating to himself on and on with no end. Obsession. Speaking from experience, it's all too easy to become fixated and isolated in a way that we forget that there's more to life. Let's leave a little room for another melody, some variation, or a little jazz, okay? The last thing I wanted to touch on with Zant is the appearance of the gamelan. Gamelan? A traditional Indonesian orchestra composed primarily of metallic percussion, such as gongs or metallophones. Here's an example. Within the context of the rest of the score, this sound is very out of place. It doesn't belong. It is disorienting though, and just as the Twilight ambience betrays itself, so too does Zant. Not only is he mentally deranged, but he doesn't belong here. There's no denying that this variation of Zelda is more reserved, a bit stoic, and more mature, shaped by her environment. She's already running a whole kingdom, for goodness sake. The first thing I'm drawn to is, of course, the instrumentation, boasting a full aural regalia, befitting of a princess and our title character, without regards to the number of musicians needed or space required to... oh, or a solo harp. It's a beautiful rendition, with strength in its pull, regardless of it being only a single instrument. But what's out of the ordinary is that Zelda's not typically a solo princess. In early renditions of her theme, we get at least an extra harmony line, and games like Wind Waker and Spirit Tracks are over here adding whole new sections. Only within the ambiance of games like Breath of the Wild and Twilight Princess do we see parts stripped away from her theme. She's always had something to fill out her theme, representative maybe of her people, her kingdom, her family, but here, Zelda's our lone wolf. Or maybe not, because In her introduction, the full theme plays, only to drop out, leaving the base of the harmonic line. A steady pulse that slows down the motion of the tune. After staying strong for her kingdom for so long, I can only imagine she's left with just enough energy to keep up appearances. They say you never realize the value of something until it's gone. Do you also feel the absence of her melody here? A melody that carried such a sweet innocence, leaving behind nothing but a regal but false sense of confidence. Nothing in her music calls for help, but nothing in her theme demonstrates peace and security either. Perhaps she doesn't feel that she needs a knight, as she has the will to fight and believes that she's capable of handling her own, possibly in fear of getting anyone else involved. I can't move on without including this guy.
It would be wrong, I think.
Look at that dedication! No fear in the face of this withering world. He's a busy man. Mirrored in his music is a little riff
That signifies he's on the job.
or that you can expect to be tracked down. He's got a steady gallop in the guitar and snare drums, with the main melodic line in the recorder.
Focused on a single note.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, but hold up. This is a different situation than with Zant. Just for the sake of it, let's consider this note his occupation, and the rest of his theme, hiccups, in his pursuit to run around delivering mail. Overall, a pretty harmless guy. He may come across as a bit overwhelmed or clumsy, but he's just out there, living his life. Or is he? Maybe I don't trust him. Alright, Midna. What are you hiding?
Don't know that I feel any certain way about it, but there's good news for the Link Midna fans out there. There's just too much evidence preparing her for the role of damsel in distress for me to say otherwise. She's our snarky little side companion.
But is she really? I'm just gonna say it. I don't think she's that tough. Her demeanor and music are two contrasting styles. Lucky for us, she can't hide her true nature behind music.
Midna's whole theme plays off of these breathy swells, like sighs in and out of the strings, and an oboe leading the melody. I bring up the oboe because, while striking and exotic, it's also very meek and unimposing. The direction of the melody, in combination with the choice of key, starts to weigh down the line. And in combination with these swells, she tugs at your heart. The larger the sighs get, the more you're pulled into a false hope. She's got within her music a longing for her kingdom and a tired desperation, willing her to keep on. Midna's not this snarky little side companion. She's overcompensating and trying to hide her heart. From herself, I imagine. And at this moment, she's concerned for her people and desperate for a knight. But first, what's a lament? Popular with opera back in the day, a lament was a solo aria of sorts, used to reflect on feelings of sadness, typically for those who have passed or in moments of parting. Now, I've been thinking about it, and I'm still not sure if Midna's lament is supposed to be from her perspective, recognizing her coming fate, or from Link, fearing the worst. For either argument, the solo piano works to reflect on the loneliness of this moment. Quick arpeggios muddy the clarity of the melody and add a twinge of chaos to the air, just enough to add an edge and cloud their minds. Ringing with regret, this upper register appoggiatura keeps her heart in her throat. Not a graceful fall, but a tired one as she runs out of energy. Many of her lines stumble down in this manner, with only a few holding out for hope, constantly reaching for something that's just out of grasp.
Isn't music so interesting? It's like a secret code. But I definitely skipped over a lot here. Nuances in these pieces, and other characters entirely. So hey, if you have any other thoughts, I'm sure I'm not the only one who would love to hear it. Alright, get out of here. We'll see if this button does anything. What? The goat!
Or one of the many goats.
Zelda has a whole herd.
A tad obsessive. What's with the piano?
Illegal? Probably.